so with this minority tax, it was kind of brought up in some of the answers that sometimes it can be difficult to find that mentorship and that guidance. And so if you all would like to talk about how you were able to find a mentor, and then how do you even approach finding a mentor and asking for that relationship with someone?
I can say that I was fortunate enough to have a really great mentor during my FDA fellowship. Dr. Victor Krinzel, he's actually a medical doctor, and he was a geriatric pharmacologist who was also an internal medicine doctor at Johns Hopkins. And even though he wasn't a pharmacist, he was really good at what he would do. And he kind of shadowed me and gave me the skill sets to even have my own mentee. And I mentored a Johns Hopkins student who was doing her kind of like a master's program underneath me, and we did a project together. So he was actually his mentor, actually his mentee, but then he had me work with her. So we worked together, and he saw something in me and said, well, once you have her under you. So that was just like a great experience. So I just owe everything to him. And then he allowed me to get the job that I currently have now as a contractor at the FDA. So, and he's an African-American male. So, and just knowing other diverse cohorts at the FDA and just connecting with them has really made me the person who I am today. And then other ethnicities like African Americans as well throughout my whole career. But definitely I can say at the FDA, Dr. Krinzel has really been a great mentor to me.
I'll hop in with, so one, I was fortunate. I am a pediatrician. My first mentor was my pediatrician. So I think always thinking about the people who are in your networks can be a fantastic way to do it. I still am mentored by my mentor 30 something. I will not say the specific number of years later. Additionally, I think in terms of the most recent mentee that I took on, that was a great experience. So she was someone who I'd actually hired to work with me as a research assistant first. We were working together, and then through the process of us working together, I learned she was interested in going to medical school. I think I was kind of informally mentoring her, but then about 6 or 7 months in, she went ahead and was like, will you formally be my mentor? I'm not sure if she attended a workshop or what have you, but I think that was a great way for me to trigger in my head that I am now mentoring her. This is not just an informal thing now, that I am obligated and charged with making sure she succeeds. And I think that's why it's really important to think about when you're finding a mentor, to make sure you talk about what you want from that person, and so that your expectations can both be met.
I wrote a couple of letters to local doctors. I didn't have any direct connectivity with any family members or friends that were in the medical profession. So the first thing is I wrote letters to community doctors telling them who I was. You know, at this time I sent them a resume. So, you know, we learned earlier in several presentations about the importance of having a good resume or a good CV. I sent that with it to show my credentials, you know, what my grades look like and undergrad, things of that nature. I didn't just send a letter, I also followed up in person to introduce myself. What I found was that making those initial contacts, I got into this doctor circle. So once I was in with one, I asked, you know, could I go shadow someone else? And that sort of matriculated on. And so that wound up being a big plus, because when I needed references or when I needed someone to ask various things through the medical profession, they were always there. But establishing it from the baseline, you may not have anyone in your direct extension that you feel confident in talking to, or you may have a doctor that you go to frequently, but you may not even like that doctor's bedside manner. So don't get boxed into what a mentor looks like, or what a mentor just has to be because they're a family physician or a family friend. Expand that horizon and don't be afraid to sort of step outside of your box. I'll tell you also, some of the students that I mentor now have been students that I've met along the Tour for Diversity. We traveled on a bus. We went from city to city, doing some of the same things that we've been doing in our online presentation. And those connections stay. It's just like many of you guys are tuning in right now and you're listening to our voices, and you're maybe connecting to a mentor on this, on this chat tonight. It's the same way in person. When you feel a connectivity and you feel like that person gives you good energy, maybe receptive to what you're saying and can give you feedback, to you, tap into that. Use it as a resource. This is a great place to start with trying to establish a mentor for future occasions.
I would like to touch on one quick thing. I'm not going to talk about how getting a mentor because your guys' answers were excellent. There was a question in the box also about what to talk about when you meet your mentor, kind of like Dr. Owens just pointed out. Of course, that initial meeting is going to be about you. So make sure you have your CV ready, your resume ready. Make sure you ask them questions about their specialty, not just the generic, what do you do every day? Take a look into it. Ask about either procedures they may have encountered or just current medical topics that you'd like their input on. Something that would draw them to you to want to keep you on as a mentee is the best thing to talk about. And like others have mentioned, when you get to the end of your discussion or first meeting, if it becomes a leisure meeting, then you can bring up Tiger King or Insecure at your leisure, but save that for the end.
Alrighty, unless anyone from the panel has anything else they would like to add on, we can go ahead and move to the next